Welcome to Cube Cruisin', a Magic the Gathering podcast where we design, discuss, play, and review a new cube each episode. I'm Eric, joined by my wonderful co-host Hayden.
I'm Hayden, joined by my wonderful co-host
We're doing it
Eric.
again! We're bringing it back. It's been a while since we've sat down and recorded an episode.
It's been a hot minute. Life's been going on.
Life has been going on, so might as well just address that elephant in the room.
Yep.
I know a lot of this is on me. I didn't want to have it take this long, but because of life, work in particular, for those who aren't familiar, I work as a game designer on a game called Darkest Dungeon 2, and we had a pretty busy time getting some updates out. We're still working on some updates, still doing some things, but that's kind of like the reason for me why I felt I've kind of dropped the ball a little bit on this episodes.
I wouldn't say you dropped the ball. Life gets busy.
And that's fair.
That's what happens.
That's why you're a great co-host.
What, do people work hard in video games? What, do you get crunched in video games? What do you...
Yeah.
Oh.
But it's fun. Yeah, so that's the reason why. But on that note, this will be our final episode. We figured we didn't want to just leave it off at a, hey, so listen to next week's episode, and then there's no next week's episode.
Nothing. Bone dry. Like, whatever happened to those two?
Yeah.
And it's us as skeletons, but with the mics in front of us. Like,
The recording just going on to this day. So last episode left it off saying that we're going to be doing a multiplayer cube. However, things have changed. And today we're going to be talking about a different type of cube. Just, I think, a bread and butter, a peasant cube. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a peasant cube that I have assembled and put together based off of a template and framework that I have built to make cubes. To kind of touch on that a little bit, in the time since the last episode, I've actually made 4 cubes or so using this template.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I made a cube based off of the Foundation's starter collection, a kind of kitchen table, lower powered cube, a multiplayer commander cube, and this peasant cube that we'll be discussing primarily in this episode, using the template.
That's a lot of work. I've been so busy with work. This is work. I'm doing the cube. I'm making 4 cubes. This is the work I've been doing.
Making cubes, I find making cubes is easy. Sitting down and recording and then editing is the hard part. That's the part I find less enjoyable. I can just come on like a Friday evening and just be like, I'm just gonna throw a cube together. And that's what I've done a few times.
That's
for
wild.
A couple hours, just put together a cube and jam it. Yeah.
That is very different from how I make my cubes, which is probably why you make them faster and now have a system with this template.
Yeah, so I think like a big part of the system though is the way that I manage my collection. Most of the cards that I play are in the same sleeves, and I organize them by color, and then within the colors by non-creatures and creatures. So I'm able to like quickly kind of whip out like, what black cards am I going to be pulling out? So I pull out the black long box, pull up the non-creature spells, and sort through those and pull those out. But a lot of that is based off of a numbered templates that I have created, which we will share in some links, show notes, somewhere people would be able to find kind of like these like templates.
Down in the doobly-doo.
A lot of the numbers that I kind of laid out for them are based off of how I like distribution of color throughout a pack. So in a 15-card pack, I typically like to see 2 of each color, 2 lands, and then the kind of remaining 3 cards is a mixture of multicolored or colorless cards that is flexible based off of the type of cube. So for the Peasant Cube, for example, there's a lot more multicolor cards. So that 3-card slot in a pack, which when you kind of expand it out to like 180, 270, 360, it's weighted a lot more towards multicolor cards than colorless. However, you can also apply this, hey, I want a lot less multicolor cards, so then I will then shift it towards a lot more colorless cards to kind of like figure that out.
It's flexible. There's ways to bend it. It is a template. It's not the sole, like, this is how I make all of them all the time.
Yeah, exactly. I'll use the 270 as a cube, which is not your standard cube size number, but I find that number works really well for me because you're able to draft it with 6 people. You're able to draft it with 2 people very well from grid draft, pancake draft, houseman draft, all different types of 2-player drafts where you're seeing a bit of variation, but you're not completely missing out like half of the cube.
That makes sense. That's a pretty reasonable number. As I said, not the number that first comes to mind when thinking of like, I have a cube. It's like, oh, great, get a pot of 8 together. Or we've, especially in our early episodes, did like 2-player cubes. It isn't the first number that one thinks of, but I'm looking at it's a pretty well put together little document here, little
thank you.
set of info, little Excel sheet.
Yeah. For a 270, kind of the numbers that I have, I'm not going to get too deep into the numbers because then I'm just rattling off a bunch of numbers.
Yeah.
I do 36 cards for each of the monocolored, so like 36 white, blue, black, red, green. And for the multicolor, it's approximately 27, which ends up being about 2 to 3 cards per color pair. And for the lands, I usually match what the monocolored is at 36. The approximate colorless is about 27 or so. Throughout the monocolored, I kind of, in the template, have it spread out based off of their mana value. Obviously, some colors are going to have a much lower curve, like white and red. Other colors are going to have much higher curve, such as green. Colors such as blue are going to have more of their distribution towards non-creature as towards creature. But those are all just, again, based off of the like WotC's color pie identity.
Yeah, none of that feels controversial. Those are pretty bog standard. Like, yeah, red and white tend to be lower on the curve. We want to be more aggressive. Spells, like instants and sorceries, more favored in blue. I don't think any of that is controversial.
Yeah. And the way that I kind of start a lot of these cubes that I think is a little bit controversial, but I find I like to start with multicolored cards. So I go through my multicolored section, and at 270, if I'm like, hey, I want to find 2 to 3 per pair, I just go through my multicolored cards and just start pulling out 3 cards for each. And that's the number that I kind of start with. So I just have three of each, and then I have the multicolored cards laid out in front of me, and then I just grab a random monocolor to start with next. So I'm like, oh, whatever happens to be at the top of my pile of collection. For the long boxes, I grab red, for example, and then I just start pulling out red cards as I'm looking at my multicolor cards and just seeing like, oh, okay, hey, this will fit with this Rakdos card, or this will fit with this Izzet card, and then I kind of just start pulling them out very quickly to just start hitting that 36 cards for a 270 cube. Then move on to the next color and kind of go through and just start whipping them out pretty quickly. Again, it works really well for me because I have all my cards just in the same sleeves in these long boxes, so I'm able to kind of just quickly pull out cards.
Pretty well organized.
That organization, I think, really helps to make quick cubes.
It's work done at the very beginning of pre-starting any individual cube or any process, but the organization that saves you time in getting a new cube out, making rapid iteration on what you have established in that 270 here. That's always the problem that I have with cubes is I am terrible at cutting things. I am so awful, and I need to get better at it. At identifying, like, well, this could be a problem. We can lose it. Well, I want this to be in. What has to go to get in there? So I spend a lot more time when making a cube finding, like, all right, what are we doing? What cards will fit really well into these things? And Scryfall is invaluable for that.
Oh, incredible.
And like, oh, what is this card I've never heard from? Odyssey. What is, oh yeah, that can put in there. Yeah. And whether I have them or not is immaterial. Like I want the environment. What do I want to, ooh, never heard of this. What is this? This can get in there. That takes a lot longer. However, it covers up my weakness of not being able to cut things too much. Because if we play once, like, oh, these are just with cards I had, so many other cards would be so much better. But now I've played with these, they're doing their thing in the cube, so now if I take them out, am I changing too much? Does that change a lot of like what the cube is if this percentage of cards are leaving versus what if I just found some of the better cards at the start? However, my collection is nowhere near as organized. My collection is a couple binders, a couple boxes that are labeled, and a lot of piles.
Such is the life of a Magic collector.
I would definitely recommend your version of organizing and then cube building. I think it is just faster, it follows a better logic, it is quicker. Whereas I'm just in my little hole, and I've found what works.
These are mine.
No, this
Don't look at my pile.
This shovel is great in this hole. What are you talking about? But you could have this nice little pristine tower. Like, my hole though. I love my hole. Not gonna get that guy out of there. All right.
I do think though that I don't think you need to go as far as me with like having them all in the same sleeves. Organized by color and non-creature and creature, I find that makes it the easiest in terms of maintaining as well. Because then if you're taking out cards and putting them back, you don't need to be so particular about like, oh, is it like alphabetical? Is it by set? Is it by mana value? Mana value, like that is one that I like kind of try to adhere to a little bit. If I'm going through, especially I need to grab 36 cards over all of the mana values, I'm only pulling out like 5 mana value 1 cards. So I don't need to have a whole lot of cards to have a lot of variety to kind of like review if I'm only pulling out that low amount of cards. The process that I go through where I start with the multicolored cards, then I just quickly whip out. Usually I whip out more cards than I have. Like say if I need 36, I'll pull out like 40 cards that I like.
Oh my god. And then you have to cut them.
Yes. Once I have the monocolored and multicolored cards pulled out, I can then kind of look through them all holistically and get an idea of like, oh, I've already looked through red, green, black, blue, and like white. And then I can go back to them again and being like, oh, like are the multicolored cards working out? For this Peasant Cube, for example, one card that I looked at that I'm like, oh, I actually have a lot of flyers in blue and white. I should grab Migratory Route because that worked out really well, being like, oh, hey, here's just like a good uncommon card that will just make a lot of flyers. And then I was able to make that change after having to like pull that out. But it ended up being a relatively easy change because I could just quickly identify that I had a lot of flyers in white and blue. And I found that was a way that I can quickly pull cards out, review them, and then make quick cuts. I think me in general, I do find that I can cut things pretty easily. For the sake of like, I need to get this done. It is 10 p.m. I don't want to be up till midnight and I'm still on like this color. I can just get rid of it. So just being kind of ruthless about it.
No, and I think that does make that process easier, just based on what you're saying, of having everything in front of you, being able to see, I'm noticing this, as opposed to all of the names in a like Cube Cobra like setup, having them physically in front of you and having that identifier, like, I can probably lose some of these. I can, on vibes, I can take out some of this.
Yeah, a lot of vibes. A lot of vibe cuts, for sure. And it does help, obviously, having a decent-sized collection that you can just build from what you have in front of you. Most people don't have that luxury, so I understand that this process won't be applicable for a vast majority. But this is something that I find works for me and could potentially help folks out there be able to make cubes from the collection of the cards that they own, because at the end of the day, we own them, so let's play with them.
Absolutely. Even thinking about just that step, you mentioned those 2 steps of by color and then creature, non-creature. That hugely cuts down on the amount of time searching through piles, looking through stuff, and everything after that is sort of diminishing returns,
Mm-hmm.
where the amount of time you're spending sorting by, all right, each major like type, artifact, instant sorcery, whatnot, or by mana value. It does refine it, but the huge time-saving measures are color, creature, non-creature.
Yeah.
I could think of a few times that would have saved me a little, little bit of time, but a little adds to a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a complex game, and it's a complex thing to organize.
Mm-hmm. Gets more complex every day. Time, every
yes.
set.
Yeah. So yeah, I just want to touch on the Peasant Cube. Why I wanted to do this episode about making a Peasant Cube. Also, for those who aren't familiar with what a Peasant Cube is, it is commons and uncommons. The way that I kind of like picked the cards for it was looking through my collection, and even if I had a card like Brainstorm, for example, if I had a printing of Brainstorm that had the rare symbol on it, I would not use that card.
Oh.
But Brainstorm has been printed at common, so I have a copy of that, so then I put that copy in here.
There you go.
So all of the cards that I have in like the physical collection are all printings that have a uncommon or common symbol on them.
Thematically appropriate. Yeah.
I think just going with Peasant, I found a lot of the mechanics are simpler. Their text boxes aren't as crazy, and I think that was very appealing to me. And then I think also our play group, in a world of modern Magic where there's textbooks on cards and the power level has been pushed, I think bringing it back to basics and keeping it a little bit more grounded was what I was after, and the experience that I wanted to play with my friends.
Hell yeah. I absolutely agree. This felt so good, seeing like things dialed back, and there are a couple like Modern Horizons 1 cards
Modern
and whatnot
Horizons
in
2.
there.
I think there's still some Modern Horizon 3 cards in here. There's still texture in the complexity.
But seeing Cloudkin Seer, 2 and a blue for 2/1 flying, and it cantrips. What a joy that card was. And seeing it's like, oh, we're trusting like this is totally playable, and looking through the packs is like, oh yeah, we're not putting paragraphs in the text box. This feels real good. I want to see, creatures that just have trample, haste. That's what we're here to do. And it feels good. Just right, as you said, back to basics. Get in. I'm looking at some of these cards now. Your Garys, your Green Merchants,
yes.
How much black you got? That's how much you do, baby.
Absolutely.
Easy.
So I touched on the multicolored cards, the monocolored cards, the colorless cards. In this cube were a lot lighter.
Yes.
I found going through artifacts and colorless cards, there just wasn't as much spice. At least in my collection, there were a lot of cards in there that I think were very good, but I'm like, oh, I'd rather shift it more towards multicolored and have players try to splash for their third or fourth color. And that was also kind of reflected in the lands. Lands is something that I, and most cube designers, really focus on, how the pace at which your format is going to be. So at common, uncommon, there's still a decent amount of power.
Absolutely.
Crew lands, the bounce lands are very, very strong and powerful, fun, satisfying. They work with some of the landfall cards. There's very light landfall in this. I really like being able to play a bounce land, bouncing that land back to your hand, so then you can just constantly, every single turn, being able to trigger landfall, I think is a really fun play pattern. There's the artifact lands that enter tapped, but are indestructible from Modern Horizons 2.
The bridges.
The bridges, yes, thank you. And also the gates from Baldur's Gate, the one that enters tapped and have a color that they tap for on their own, but when they enter, you can choose a color. I think those ones really help with splashing. And there's also the landscapes from Modern Horizon 3, which I think are just some of the best lands that they've printed in a while.
They're quite good, powerful lands, but I think they're a great design as well. Looking at the shard cube that I had built and Shards of Alara had something similar. I believe they were the shard name panoramas, and they come in and you have to pay one and tap and sack it to search, and they feel so terrible to play. It feels like a necessary evil to have, and these new landscapes just fit the bill so nice.
Oh, so nice.
Go search for basics. The cycling lets you quickly identify what the cards that you can search for are. Ah, fantastic. They tap for colorless, which is wild. But no, yeah, as you said, they're quite powerful.
Yeah. I love that they tap for colorless, because then you can play them and use them right away. But if you want to get your colors, they have so much texture and modality to them that doesn't feel oppressive.
No, it doesn't feel oppressive, but it feels like it fits a lot of things together a little more smoothly, which ain't a bad thing to have.
Yeah. I also find that they, with the cycling on them, fit really well with the bounce lands, where you can play a landscape early and then bounce it back later if you wanted to then cycle it away.
Personally, that never came up. I think that's a fun little possibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
For someone who is better at Magic than me and can see those lines.
Yeah. As a designer, I enjoy just creating and laying out tools and then leaving it up to the drafters and players to utilize these tools to create interesting decks and plays that me as a designer haven't thought of. And I think that's fine. I like to set up a playground and then let the kids play on the playground. So that's usually how I go about the lands. I felt that these lands did a lot for the format with the constraint of commons and uncommons only, but still opened up a lot of interesting avenues. I do also like that if you want your fixing, it will come in tapped. That's what the fixing will do. You don't really have untapped mana. Your basics are your untapped mana. And I think having that as a constraint really helps reduce 5-color piles.
It's certainly a slower way to get going. It's a little less oppressive, and if you're, say, monocolor aggro, then that doesn't matter to you, so that doesn't hinder you too much there. I hadn't thought about it in terms of 5-color good stuff and diminishing that. Although that makes total sense. If your lands are just coming in tapped every turn, it's a huge disincentive.
Yep, absolutely.
Especially if you're going up against someone who's in mono red.
Yeah, keeping the boogeymans in check. That's basically the foundation and idea of how I went about building this. So let's, I guess, move on to drafting it up, seeing how it plays.
Let's get going.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
I'm looking forward to 2, maybe 1 sentence on a card, and be like, hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Good luck, have fun.
You as well.
Let's start off with a Thoughtseize.
What?
Move to combat.
Yep.
Cards in hand?
4.
Oh, that's so many.
No, that's game. These cards are sweet. This cube rules.
All right, welcome back. We just played some games. We drafted the cube, and I like having less amount of words on cards.
I like seeing cards that make me smile, and those are the ones without words. I like looking at something that just says ETB draw card, and oh, that's so sick.
It's so sick.
Look at that. This is a bear with upside. What's the upside? It has a keyword. Whoa.
Yeah. Or just cards that, they might have more words on them, but it just does that singular thing. Like Miss Meadow Witch, which is 1 and a hybrid white-blue creature, Kithkin wizard, which has 2 white-blue, exile target creature. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step, and it's a 1/1. That's a decent amount of words, but it does that one thing, and I like that. I like that a lot.
It's not also a 1/4 that's gonna block for you.
A 1/4
it's
with
not gonna
vigilance.
Tap for white only to cast enchantments. Just little extra bits that are complicating every card. Probably sound like an old man over here. Back in my day, we had a 4/4 for 6 with downside, and we liked it.
But yeah, how did you feel about your deck? If you wanna talk about that.
Sure. I pack one, pick one, Watcher of the Spheres, which is an M21 creature, white and a blue for a 2/2 flyer. Makes creatures with flying cheaper, and when I cast things with flying, it gets a +1/+1 till end of turn. And that set the stage.
Nice.
We had 6 players in our pod, and so you're going to see a lot more cards wheel and come around, which was nice. And then it did, and then there was tons of support, like incidentally creatures with flying that I wanted to be doing other stuff in, or were just good by themselves. Blue-white I found to be pretty open, but with 6 people it's a little harder to read what's open.
Yeah.
That being said, I ended up with a fully playable deck that I really liked.
Yeah.
One of the big cards that I hemmed and hawed on was Reconnaissance Mission, which is 2 blue for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card with cycling 2. And I looked at this like, I don't know, man. Is this just a 4-mana do-nothing enchantment that I'm putting in my deck? I don't know. And I had to be almost talked into it. Like, is this any good? I don't know. And then over our games, I think it drew me 15 cards.
Nice.
Over the 2 games that it was in. So yeah, it was pretty good.
Pretty worth it.
It was worth it. It did a good job. I did see that in blue-white, there was also a flicker theme, but ultimately, I didn't opt into it because it felt almost too cute. Like I would be trying to force it and like, haha, I'm flickering this thing and then do it again, and now I've drawn 2 cards. And my opponent plays like a 4/5. Like, oh no! I'm whooped. So didn't go down that route. But there was no shortage of flyers being sent my way. Lots of stuff wheeled. Couple counter spells. A little extra here and there. But it was pretty lean, I felt. And it did the job pretty well. Except against the deck that 3-0'd.
Oh, yes.
But no, I was really happy with how it all shaped up.
Nice. And you ended up going 2-1?
Yes.
Nice.
Could have done. I played 17 lands, and my curve was so low, I think I only had 1 5-mana card. I could have gone lower. I think I did drop to 16 lands, and was even then questioning, like, maybe I could hit 15, maybe, but 16, got me there. So I'm not mad about that.
Yeah. A bulk of the cube and mana value is in like the 2 and 3 drops. I always feel like people hit your 2s and 3s. I feel like those help non-games become games.
I absolutely agree. Looking at cubes just online, sometimes the curve can be quite high or weighted a little higher. I love that, as you said, 2 and 3, this is where the bulk of what you're going to be seeing creature-wise, instant sorcerer-wise, is all happening. You can have your 6-drop as a little, like, hey, you really want to show them what's up? You want to have a 7-drop? If you think so, I'll give you the option. But almost forcing the deck through the cube's construction to be lower curve to hit your creatures, force you to have fun.
Yeah.
It's a sandbox, but here are the toys you will be playing with.
Yeah, definitely. The deck that I ended up on, I first picked Anger.
Ooh.
I did not end up playing Anger. I was in those colors, though. I think the card that really set the tone for the deck that I wanted to get, I think I third picked a Grumgully the Generous, which is a 1 red and a green legendary creature, Goblin Shaman. Each other non-human creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it, and it is a 3/3.
Fantastic.
I love him. Him offering his mushroom. So good. I just started leaning into that. I started seeing a lot of good red cards, started seeing some good green cards. I also started seeing some good white cards because Green-white is doing some of the token things. So I'm like, oh, I want to kind of do wide, put counters on them, swing out. I think I ended up getting all of the Gruul cards.
Oh.
And getting some nice fixing as well. That certainly helped. I got a Imperial Oath, which is like a top end 5 and a white sorcery. Create 3 2/2 white samurai creature tokens with vigilance. Scry 3.
Oh my gosh.
Which worked really well with the token plan that I wanted to do, because just getting out 3 of these creatures to set things up and be able to like put counters on them would feel really nice.
And the extra scry doesn't hurt.
I got a Captured by Lagax, which is one of my favorite Selesnya cards, which is a 1 green and a white enchantment aura, enchant creature, enchanted creature can attack or block, and when Captured by Lagax enters the battlefield, support 2. So shut down one of their creatures, pump up my creatures, get in.
Mm-hmm.
And I only ended up going 1 and 2. The last game was against the 3-0 deck, which we went to 3 games. They were pretty close. I think I was down to 4 life, and he top decked Firebolt, hit me for 2, flashbacked it, hit me for 2. And I was ready to Trumpeting Blast, Heroic Reinforcements him the next turn.
You were just about to rumble in.
Yeah.
It was close.
It was close. Yeah, I had a few games where I was able to go wide. I also drafted Naya Charm, which is a red, green, and a white instant. Choose 1. Naya Charm deals 3 damage to target creature, or return target card in a graveyard to its owner's hand, or tap all creatures target player controls. That last line put in work for me.
I bet if you're going wide with big non-human freaks.
Yeah, just being able to tap all their creatures down, slam a Trumpeting Blast with 4 or 5 creatures on the board, and just get them. I think in the first game that I won, I was able to take my opponent down from 18-0 by doing some combination of Trumpet Blast and Heroic Reinforcements, and it got there.
Just hitting them with the Alpha Strike.
Yeah. So I felt that my deck like came together. It felt really nice in the card quality, in the simplicity. Oh, felt so nice. Bloodbraid Elf, always a favorite of mine.
Every good Jund victory starts with casting a Bloodbraid Elf.
Yeah.
I had fun even during the draft, like just seeing these cards and popping off, seeing some old favorites. Bituminous Blast is in here. Little old Biddy is doing it. I didn't take it. It's just right there. Bituminous Blast, 3, a black and a red for an instant with Cascade, and it deals 4 to target creature.
Ooh.
Oh! And it has that wonderful Raymond Swanlin art.
It sure does. Just a fun, evocative card.
All-Star.
Let's talk about the 3-0 deck.
Okay.
Yeah. So our friend Andrew was on the Rakdos Sacrifice deck, and it did some stuff. There was no Blood Artist in here, but there were Blood Artist variants, and he got a lot of them. And he was able to do a lot of things and just be low to the ground, get them out fast, have a lot of value when they die, so your blocks and attacks are just really bad. Oh, there's one card in there that I want to pull out. This is probably one of the cards that is the most wordy of them. Garna Bloodfist of Keld, which is a 1 black, red legendary creature, human berserker. Whenever another creature you control dies, draw a card if it was attacking. Otherwise, Garna Bloodfist of Keld deals 1 damage to each opponent, and it's a 4/3. Actually, it's actually not that wordy. For some reason, I was feeling it was a lot more wordy, but it did a lot. I don't know if that card ever showed up when you were facing Andrew.
I never saw it. I got beat down otherwise.
It made his attacks feel so bad blocking, because every time you blocked one of his 1/1 tokens, if you block it, it just turns into him drawing a card.
Yup.
And him also having sack outlets let him still doing it while it's attacking if you wanted to draw some cards after it took the damage anyways. So sometimes it just forced you into these blocks, which let him draw more cards. Or in his second main phase, he could just attack you and then sacrifice it and then deal damage to you with a like hissing iguanar out as well.
I saw the hissing iguanar and the fireblade artist every round we played. Hissing iguanar, 2 in a red for a 3/1 creature lizard. Whenever another creature dies, you may have hissing iguanar deal 1 damage to target player or planeswalker. There's your blood artist effect. Fireblade artist, black and a red for a 2/2 creature human shaman with haste. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may sack a creature. When you do, Fireblade artist deals 2 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. So he would just sit back with his little dinky nothings, attack with them, and then you're like, well, if you're going to block, guess you're going to lose some life. Guess if you let everything through, you're going to lose the same amount of life, but then it happens again next turn. And when I started, really, because I'm playing flyers, like, okay, I can start getting in the air, go over. And I also went 1 and 2 against him. Nice. So I got in a little bit, but he just had so many of these little losers. And I was like, yeah, get it. And now sack outlet, drain you, and then hit you here. And you're at 4 now? Great, attack with everything. I die
either way.
I could not mathematically win on, I think, the last turn he attacked. I had so many options. There were tons of creatures on the board. There were lots of things to do. Couldn't beat it. Wild.
Yeah. It's fun though. I love Rakdos Sacrifice decks, and I didn't want to go to the standard, like I didn't want to have Blood Artist in here. I think I avoided putting in Mayhem Devil in here, but
I didn't see it. Yeah.
Mayhem Devil is I also love that card.
It's a beater.
It's a beater, but arguably probably like the strongest sacrifice Rakdos card. Maybe?
Yeah, because it's 3 mana whenever a player sacks a permanent.
Yeah.
I don't think it looks at non-token. It just cares about
it's just permanent. Sacrificing. Yeah. So like your landscapes. And it's deal 1 damage to any target.
Yeah, that's pretty strong. Yeah. That's pretty good.
So I don't think it's in here.
No, I didn't see it. Andrew would have gotten it. Yes. Like windmill slammed it.
Going through the packs that we didn't open, I also didn't see it.
Radical.
So yay past me. What other decks? I played against our other friend John, who was actually doing a deck similar to mine in that he was trying to go wide, putting counters on them, but he's doing it like in a little bit of a different way, a little bit more Sultai. Sultai poop. And he had Wild Onslaught, which is a 3 and a green, instant, kicker 4, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control, or if this spell was kicked, put 2 1/1 counters on each creature you control. So he was doing a little bit more rampy things, and he would have some dinky creatures, and just swing out with everything. And I'm like, He's got Wild Onslaught, doesn't he? And he had it both times.
He has to have it.
He has to have it, and it did me in, but it was cool. He also had like the Archaeomancer into Ghostly Flicker combo, which
pretty good.
Archaeomancer, which is a 2 blue creature human wizard. When Archaeomancer enters the battlefield, return target instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand, and it's a 1/2, along with Ghostly Flicker, which is a 2 and a blue instant, exile 2 target artifact, creatures, and or lands you control, then return those cards to the battlefield under your control. He could then target Archaeomancer with Ghostly Flicker and another of his Flicker targets. Archaeomancer returns, and he can then choose to return Ghostly Flicker back to his hand and just repeat that combo over and over, which I personally love that combo. I think it's a fun one. Not always when you're on the opposing end. I think everybody had some good decks, and they were able to execute on like a specific game plan. I enjoyed my deck. I enjoyed my opponent's decks. There were certainly some feedback that I got after them, like, oh, I think I would consider changing that. Can you guess what that would be?
Ooh. Is it something I mentioned?
I think you might have mentioned.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Yes. A couple more reach creatures.
That's it.
Yeah. I think I only saw one, and I got rid of it immediately. Yeah. I wasn't going to let that stick around in my Flying Men deck. Just a couple more green dudes who can swat something out of the air or put the brakes on that game plan.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be like a huge amount, but I don't know how many were in here. I only saw one in the draft through everything. There's a couple more. Yeah.
So 2 were in the packs that we didn't draft. I had 2 reach creatures in my deck.
And we never fought.
Thank
God for that.
I don't know the exact number of them, and I'm not gonna like have you listeners sit through as we poke through like, oh, there's another reach creature. That's something that I would definitely audit again, especially if one of the archetypes being flyers, it would be important to have some counterplay. For the most part, I felt that things felt pretty good. There wasn't any outliers, I would say. Actually, yeah, that's one thing that I want to ask you. There's some oohs and ahs coming during the draft. I think possibly coming across some Modern Horizon 1, 2, and or 3 cards.
Yeah,
Were there any cards that you came across that you're just like, I don't know if I would have included this one?
Flametongue Yearling is quite
I
good.
love
No, I'm not saying.
But yeah. No, I get you.
The multi-kicker and making it a huge little guy, like the modularity of it, and it hits you, and now I've got a big thing as opposed to just a Flametongue Kavu that I think it's 4 comes down, hits something for 4.
Yeah.
Now it's a thing. That's the cost. But being that the early game, it comes down, you've got a 2/1, it's going to hit something. Mid game, great, you have more targets. And late game, it's just going to be a huge beater that also destroys their best thing. It's really good. Nothing else, no other individual card I identified. Mostly, I was popping off seeing just some old favorites. Bituminous Blast. You explicitly told me that you took a card, so I would not see it, but I would love it if I saw. It was Bloodbraid Elf.
It was Bloodbraid Elf.
So you were right. Yeah, you had me pegged. Absolutely.
But you weren't on that deck this time.
No, I wouldn't have taken it, but I would have would have had a good time.
Just get so hyped about that card.
Yeah.
But I definitely do, looking at Flametongue Yearling, I think it does go against the goals of the, at least my version of the like Peasant Cube, in that it doesn't fill a singular role. It does multiple roles. You can play it early and probably chip off one of their small creatures. You can play it late game as like a late game beater, whereas I enjoy Magic where you have a card that's like, oh, this is an early game card, or this is a like late game card. Having that clear identity. Obviously, there are cards that are meant to break that rule. I don't know if this is that card, and I think it might be slightly above where I think the identity of a lot of cards want to be.
Just a little outside that range you're looking at.
And then also, like on the flip side of maybe power outliers like that are not that much of a problem, and that adds some spice. But that's all the thing about Cube is you play it, you evaluate it, you see if you want to make changes, you make those changes, and you try it again and see how it plays out.
Yep. And it's a good thing that the testing is part of the fun. It's playing the game. It is fun. Newsflash, folks, if you're listening to this Magic the Gathering Cube podcast, playing Magic the Gathering in a cube is fun.
It is fun.
I promise. I swear. Please believe me.
Any kind of like final notes or thoughts from you?
As Cube has evolved from the idea of, this is the home of the most broken cards in Magic. This is where you play everything that is buck wild. And as the Cube community has grown and people are trying different things and popularizing different ways of playing, limiting it by rarity feels like a pretty, I don't want to say obvious, but clear. It's like, of course, this is one of like the big things that define like power levels roughly of the game. So just chopping off that top bit and having commons and uncommons. It's a like first step outside like, this like vintage Cube power level. What if we just did something a lot less than that? Simple is good.
Yeah.
It is a great way to build your cube if you're thinking of having something that isn't so ludicrous like, I need Jace the Mind Sculptor. I need this, that. You really do not. The cards in your collection that are not rare, or like you can pick a lot of these up for maybe 5-10 cents.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can make a rip-roaring good time. I had a ton of fun. I want to play these 3 other cubes now. I've seen one. There's only a quarter of what you've been working on.
Oh, we definitely should try the Foundations cube.
Yes, please.
As well. That was a really fun one too, because out of recent products that WotC has created, I think the foundation set, they knocked it out of the park.
Ooh.
Especially their starter collection.
Oh, I missed this. I was a little out of the loop on this one.
Oh, yeah. They just did to kind of set the foundation for standard. They just made a lot of just bread and butter, kind of like a core set, but they've learned a lot and really honed how to make a very like engaging draft limited set, especially for foundations. And I think that their foundation starter collection that they released, which is something that you can buy for, I don't know, like 50 USD, like a very reasonable price, but you get somewhere like 300-ish cards or something like that. You get like a hefty way, and it's such a great way to start your collection. And I was able to take that and build a cube from that. I made a 180 cube from that because I was just doing like a 2-player draft with that one. It was such a great experience. Yeah.
Just paring it down. Yeah.
So yeah, I have to whip that out with you sometime.
Like that.
Yeah.
Is there anything, any final sort of observations you had about how it turned out, how folks' decks came together, anything you would want to change in the immediate future?
I think other than just revisiting like the reach, and maybe I think just doing another pass on any Modern Horizon cards in it and being like, does this belong here? I think that's like a good like indicator, but for the most part, I thought it fit pretty well. I would love to do this like as an 8-player draft sometime. I'm also happy that I was able to assemble it very quickly, so that if I were to, or when I disassemble this, because that's usually how I go about these, is just kind of build them up and then kind of break them down again. I'm not so heartbroken once I kind of break it apart because I threw it together so quickly.
It's not your baby.
Yeah, it's not my baby, which I have like a legacy cube that I maintain like a list on Cube Cobra. This will also be obviously on Cube Cobra. So if I ever want to go back and reassemble them, then I can. And I have done that before. So that's really, really nice to have that resource. But I just enjoyed this one in its simplicity. I think it's very reflective of how I feel about modern day Magic. There are a lot of cards that are reprinted that I don't really vibe with thematically and mechanically. I'm not into Universes Beyond. I'm not that into alternate art all that much. Actually, a lot of the cubes that I have now are just kind of their modern frame. Like I don't bling out. I don't like foils because they curve. So pretty much all my collection that I play with are non-foils, standard frame, and I like that. I appreciate that. I think Byron from the draft, he was just like, yeah, this just feels like that, just like kind of like that like core Magic feeling. Going back to basics again. So that was really nice just to kind of put that together. I think touching on the mechanics of modern day cards, I feel the power levels are starting to go beyond what I am wanting to see in the games that I play.
It's getting up there. To touch on your choice of putting everything in its modern frame, no alt art, borderless, secret layer, anything like that. When as big a piece of personal expression as a cube is, just in the card selection, the card art as well is one of the huge ways that you can personalize and add what you like and want to see in those cards to the game, as well as what basic lands you choose, but the same principles apply there. And I think having it entirely be non-foil, the Magic frame as it is, definitely speaks truth to that want to make this a simpler, less complex space, not just in its function, but in its form as well. So I think that is a good choice. It fits quite well. Yeah.
Thank you. Next up, we're talking about Peak of the Week.
Would peak at the week.
Peak of the week.
Peak at the 6 months, 8 months, how long?
Peak of the, it's been a while.
The week is the amount of time since we did this last. That's the week. I have recently been playing Front Mission 3 for the
Ooh.
PlayStation 1.
So cool.
It is.
Hell yeah.
It's a mecha game.
Yes.
I love it. I don't think there's a specific name for this mechanic or this sub-genre of mecha game, but it is a turn-based tactical RPG, and you have your mech, and the body, arms, and legs can all be swapped out. So part of the joy of the game is you are taking your mech, you start off like whatever, and as you defeat enemies, you can get their mechs. As you go to different shops, the parts will level up. And now you're swapping out arms, swapping out the body and legs, customizing for what you want to go for. So if one of your mechs you're utilizing, like a shotgun and melee build, it's like, great. Just get the beefiest arm you can.
Nice.
Whatever lets you jet straight to the front line, go for it. If you're going for a long range, or that's a missile or rifle build, then great, you have the one arm that's highly accurate and doing all its thing, and a big beefy shield arm to take all of the damage. And seeing like, ooh, this one's a little better. Oh, what mech is that? What are they using? It has, goodness, what year is this from? I want to say the late 90s, but it has an in-game internet.
Fascinating.
It imagines what the internet in 2112 will be like. So web pages with clip art and gradients. Like, here's the website for Tourism Japan. Here's what they're doing. And there are bulletin boards, like not quite as deep as diving into forums, but like a new little message board opened, and it's a chain of people talking to each other. Great. And in there'll be passwords for other websites that, like, enter the password to get secret access to this.
Oh, cool.
You have email, so you're going back and forth with people like, hey, just to show you I'm on your side, here's the password for this news agency's internal servers. Like, oh, you're writing it down. I got the pen and paper, just like, yeah, what government am I hacking into this time? Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It has 2 separate paths that you can go on that is decided by a decision you make in the first 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And then you are either in one place or you're not in that one place. And you side with completely different factions through it. And if you're on one side, it'd be like, defend the base. And if you're playing the other campaign, it's attack the base.
Oh, that's really cool.
Until the 2/3 mark, when, just as a result of how all these battles have gone and you being on one side or the other, it's a completely different final third. To be like, great, as a result of you going here, doing this, stopping these people, we're now doing this. You're like, oh yeah? Are we? Okay. There is a remaster coming out pretty soon, if it isn't already out. I think by the time this is out, it will be. It looks personally like a downgrade to me.
Oh, yeah.
We've come so far in terms of how good graphics look that more graphics is not a selling point to me anymore. PS3 games look immaculate. MotorStorm Pacific Rift looks amazing today.
Hell yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. So polishing something up, making it really high quality, looking like, oh, this is all brand new, isn't a selling point if it loses the weight and the charm that that first game had on the PS1. And the weight of the mechs in cutscenes isn't there, the sound isn't there.
Yeah.
So I've just been playing that original, emulated on PS3. You can buy, like, for PS3 I had like PS1 Classics collection, you could buy stuff. So I'm playing it that way. And I'm loving it. I'm nearing the end of my campaign. it's just been such a joy.
Hell yeah.
I won't say the story and the characters are the absolute best, but
Yeah.
I'm playing it because I can customize my big mecha robot.
Nice.
Yeah, that's my peak of the week.
Peak of the week.
What has
Oh,
been
yeah.
your little peak of the? What's been your
That
little
is
non-magic
so rad.
interest you've been looking at, digging into, enjoying?
So for the thing for me, I've been really getting into photography and got into it last summer and have just been having a blast with it. It's been something that I've always had, just kind of taking pictures with my phone. I went on a trip to Japan last year and I think I took like, I don't know, like 2,500 photos.
Ooh.
I took a lot of photos. And I'm just like, wait a minute, I really enjoy this. I should look into this as a more specific hobby. So I picked up a entry-level Fujifilm camera and took a course at our local Emily Carr extended learning courses and
Continuing education.
Continuing education, thank you. That I've been really, really enjoying that, especially because we live in Vancouver, which is such a beautiful, diverse biome that has mountains nearby, it has the ocean nearby, it has the metropolis like the downtown Vancouver nearby.
Yep.
So there's lots of opportunities to capture very interesting and unique places.
And a variety of them too, yeah.
Yeah, and I've been enjoying that also as a way to get me out of the house and away from my stand, like in front of a computer, in front of a TV. I am now looking through a smaller screen. But just getting out in nature, just going out on hikes and nature walks, just going and just getting to experience the place that I live in as a photographer, looking at it through a very specific lens.
Yeah,
Literally.
Yeah, you're just moving the body.
Yeah,
100%.
So I've been really appreciating that as a hobby as well. I also really enjoy, for Fujifilm, they have film recipes where you can change aspects of like the color, the contrast, the highlights, the shadows directly on the pictures that like you're taking immediately.
Like in camera.
In camera. And it exports to JPEG. Editing is kind of interesting to me, but I also enjoy the immediacy of photography. In my day job, I spend a lot of time thinking about singular individual things for long periods of times before I actually like work on it and execute it, whereas photography can feel very immediate in the moment. I'm there, I'm present, I can take these pictures and I can get that immediate gratification of like, hey, that's a nice picture. And
I did that.
I find that with photography, I can be out in nature and it's a very sustainable, clean way to just experience nature. You're not leaving anything behind. You're usually keeping your distance. You're not like leaving trash or like affecting anything. You're just kind of viewing it and perceiving it. And I find that to be a very, very healthy way to just kind of be out and like experience nature.
Hell yeah. I'm glad that I'm glad you found something that you were drawn to just through the act of doing it. Like, you go on vacation, you take photos. I think that's a pretty universal experience, even if you're just going like to a different town. You're like, oh, tell you what, I'm here, look at that. And then finding that like, I really like this.
Yeah.
And then continue with it. I think that's just such a lovely little, like, I did a thing, I liked it, I did it more, I really like it. Like, that's just so lovely.
Yeah, so that's been a very enjoyable hobby of mine. And for those, if people are interested in viewing that, you can find me on Instagram at Eyes Through Eric.
Oh,
I'll have a link in the show notes.
Yeah, plug your stuff.
Yeah. I think this is a nice segue into, I feel, why we are ending this podcast. After going through it a few times, recording and editing podcast is hard.
It is. This is the second time that I've done it, and it's especially when you're holding yourself to a little higher quality standard. It's like, okay, this is a little more work now. Especially when you yourself have so much work going on. You have a lot happening in life.
Mm-hmm.
But we started this with the idea that it would be a smaller scope, a limited number of episodes.
Yeah.
I still think there's going to be a season 2 of
I don't
Cube
think
Cruisin'.
so. Not anytime soon. Yeah, I think when we started it, we approached it very much like, hey, we just like talking about Cube. And we do. And we still love talking about Cube. I'm like, hey, what if we were to turn this into something that we can share with other people? Maybe there's a handful of people out there that can gain some insights from our ramblings. As things went on, it was a lot more work involved. For me, started to lose a little bit of what I wanted to get out of it going into it, where I'm like, I just want to meet up with my friend Hayden, play some Cube, and chat some Magic, where it then became we got to sit down and do this recording, and now I got to sit down afterwards for a couple hours and edit it. And I'm not a huge fan of editing. Hayden, being a wonderful person, we shared the workload. Like, we would each do an episode, and we'd like edit our episodes, and that process wasn't something that I particularly enjoyed.
Yep. Audio editing is its own beast, and just like anything else, it can be infinitely complex. You can dive into tones and isolating certain things, and what's going to be the best mic? How do I do X, Y, Z? It takes time. It is an upfront cost. And it's worth asking, am I going to do this often enough for it to be worth putting that time in? And the answer here is no. So, think this is the end of Cube Cruisin'?
I think so.
I had a blast.
Me too.
A bituminous blast, you could say.
Oh, that's a good blast. Yeah, I don't want to end on like a down note.
No.
I think like this was, I'm really, really happy that we did this. I think we shared some knowledge. There's some insight in there. I think I've seen the analytics. People have listened.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
There are a non-zero amount of listeners, which is nice. So that's a little ego stroke. I'm like, I learned a lot for sure. The Shard Cube, I think, is just going to be
incredible cube.
My assembled, like, going forward, this is my thing I'm maintaining cube. Because unlike a vintage power level where, you're just constantly looking at new sets all the time, there's a pretty specific set of mechanics and archetypes that I'm looking at. And if there are a couple new cards that come in, it's like, okay, but they have to not be too powerful. They have to fit like this 2009 era of power. And that's an even more limited scope. And I feel that's a lot more, as you said with photography, sustainable. I can handle that.
Yeah.
That's a load I can take on for a thing that I love and I have this affinity for. I've already been making changes just based on our recordings and playing it a couple times. Gotta have those obelisks in. I think they're just gonna be necessary. Yeah. But that's what it is.
Yeah.
Who would have known? Manolith, too good.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for listening to this episode and all the previous episodes. Our cover art is by Brittany Thompson, and all the music credits can be found in the show notes. I've been Eric, joined by my good friend and co-host, Hayden.
And I've been Hayden, joined by my friend and co-host, Eric. Goodbye.
Bye-bye now.
Play cube. Play your lands. Draft your lands, I should say.